I want to tell you about a Tuesday. Not a dramatic Tuesday, not a Tuesday where I woke up with any sense that anything was about to change, just a regular Tuesday in October. Marcus had left for work at his usual time. I had my second coffee at the kitchen counter, reading the news on my phone the way I always did. 8 years of Tuesday mornings. 8 years of the same coffee, the same counter, the same routine. I knew that man. Or I believed I did, which, I have learned, is a completely different thing. At 9:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text message from a number I didn't recognize. And everything that I thought I knew about my life began very quietly to come apart. The text said, "Hey, are you still coming Thursday? Claire's been asking. She's nervous about the dinner. Also, Marcus said you might bring wine. She's been cleaning the apartment all day, bless her. Let me know. P." I read it 3 times. The way you read something that your brain refuses to process on the first pass. I didn't know anyone called Claire. Marcus had never mentioned a Claire. There was no dinner on Thursday that I had been invited to or told about or asked to bring wine to. I typed back, "I think you have the wrong number." The reply came in 40 seconds. "Oh God, I'm so sorry. Please ignore that. Wrong contact. So sorry." And here is where I made the decision that changed everything. Instead of ignoring it, instead of putting my phone down and finishing my coffee and going about my Tuesday, I screenshotted the message. I saved the number, and I started thinking. I am very good at thinking. Marcus had always said it was one of my best qualities. He was right about that. He just never imagined I'd use it on him. The number began with a prefix I recognized as belonging to Marcus's company phone plan. All company mobiles had the same first 6 digits. I knew this because Marcus had once pointed it out, a throwaway comment years ago that I had filed away the way I file everything away. So P, whoever P was, worked with Marcus. I went to the company website, staff directory, filtered by first names beginning with P. Priya Sharma, marketing coordinator, been with the company 4 years. LinkedIn showed a warm, professional profile, running club, book recommendations, a rescue dog. She looked like someone I might have been friends with under different circumstances. Then I searched for Claire. No Claire in the company directory. So Claire was not a colleague. Claire was someone else. Someone who was nervous about a dinner on Thursday. Someone who had been cleaning her apartment all day. Someone whose apartment Marcus was apparently expected to attend. An apartment. Not a restaurant, not an office. An apartment. I picked up my phone and I called in sick to work. I had some research to do. Before I started pulling threads, because I knew once I started I wouldn't stop, I tried to give Marcus the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Claire was a family friend I'd forgotten about. Maybe it was a work event I'd been miscopied on. Maybe Priya had genuinely sent it to the wrong person, and there was a completely ordinary explanation. I am a fair person. I believe in evidence before conclusions. So I text Marcus. Casually. "Hey, do we have anything on Thursday evening? Trying to plan my week." 3 minutes, he replied. "No, nothing on my end. Why?" Nothing on my end. Not, "Oh, actually, I think there's a work thing." Not, "I might have a dinner, let me check." Nothing on my end. I put my phone face down on the counter. I opened my laptop, and I stopped giving Marcus the benefit of the doubt. I found the apartment in 40 minutes. Not because I'm a genius, but because Marcus is not as careful as he believed himself to be. And because 8 years of sharing a life with someone means you know exactly which stones to look under. Marcus and I had a joint account for household expenses and separate personal accounts for everything else. His personal account, which I did not have access to, I could not see directly, but I could see patterns. Every month, for 2 years, I pulled our joint account statements and cross-referenced them against what I knew of his salary and spending. There had been a consistent withdrawal. Same amount, same week of the month. I had noticed it before and assumed it was savings. A nice assumption about a man who was apparently very good at being assumed well of. That amount, I calculated it now against the rental market in our city, was consistent with a one-bedroom apartment in the Eastern Quarter. A nice area, not flashy, residential, quiet. The kind of area where you could live a very comfortable life if you were, for example, living 2 lives at once. I found the lease through a combination of a property search, a name search, and a piece of information that Marcus had once told me, the name of his holding company, the one he set up 3 years ago for freelance consulting income. The apartment was leased in the name of that holding company. It had been leased for 26 months, 2 years and 2 months. Our 7th wedding anniversary had been 25 months ago. He had taken me to a vineyard. He cried when he gave his speech. I had the address by Thursday morning. I did not go on Thursday. On Thursday, Marcus went to the apartment, and I sat at home and tracked his phone. We had a family location sharing app, one of those ones couples set up and then forget about. Marcus had forgotten about it. His pin sat, motionless, at an address in the Eastern Quarter of the city from 7:15 p.m. to 11:40 p.m. 4.5 hours. Long enough for a dinner. Long enough for everything that comes after a dinner. Long enough to feel completely at home in a life that was not supposed to exist. He came home at 11:52, smelled of red wine and someone else's cooking, said the client dinner had run long, kissed me on the forehead, went upstairs. I sat on the sofa in the dark, and I thought, 26 months. Every month. Same withdrawal, same address, same man coming home to 2 women who each believed he knew him. On Friday morning, I called Priya. She answered on the second ring. I said, "My name is Jenna. I'm Marcus's wife. I don't think you sent that text to the wrong number." Silence. A long silence. And then Priya said, "I've been trying to figure out how to tell you for 4 months." She had known about Claire for 4 months. She had found out by accident, a video call left open on Marcus's work laptop, Claire visible in the background of the apartment, a conversation that made the situation unmistakable. She had said nothing to Marcus. She had been trying to decide what to do. And then she had made a decision. She said, "The text wasn't a mistake. I sent it to you deliberately. I changed your number in my contacts to Marcus's wife, and I sent the text. And then I pretended it was wrong number to give you time to find things on your own. Because I thought if it came from me, he could say I was lying. But if it came from the evidence, you'd have something real." I sat with that for a moment. This woman I had never met. This colleague of my husband's, who ran half marathons and recommended books on her LinkedIn, had spent 4 months trying to protect me. A stranger. I said, "Tell me everything." She did. What Priya told me over the next 2 hours was not a story about an affair. I want to be precise about that. An affair is a secret, a complication, something shameful that exists in shadows and hotel rooms and carefully deleted message threads. What Marcus had built with Claire was not an affair. It was a life. The apartment was fully furnished. His things were there. Not a change of clothes, not a toothbrush, but his books, his photographs, a coffee machine that was identical to ours because he had simply bought a second one. He had a routine there. He cooked there. He had friends who knew him as a man who lived alone and was in a relationship with a lovely woman named Claire. He had a dog there, a rescue dog they had adopted together 8 months ago. A dog. They had made a decision together, the kind of decision that means you are building something permanent, and adopted a living creature who depended on them both. I remember thinking, he has never once suggested we get a dog. I had wanted one for years. He always said he wasn't a dog person. I told Priya about the lease, about the holding company, about the monthly withdrawals, about the location pin on Thursday night. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "You've done more in 3 days than I managed in 4 months." I said, "I'm very good at thinking." She said, "I know. Marcus has mentioned it." We agreed on a plan. Priya would arrange for Claire and I to meet. Not a confrontation, not at the apartment, not at my house, not anywhere dramatic. A coffee shop. A neutral, public, ordinary coffee shop on a Saturday morning. Priya would bring Claire under the pretense of introducing her to a friend. Claire did not know I existed. Claire did not know Marcus was married. Priya was certain of that. She said, "Claire is a good person, Jenna." She said, "What's being done to her is the same as what's being done to you." And I knew, even before I met her, that Priya was right. Because I knew Marcus, and I knew exactly how he made women feel like the only one in the room. He was very good at that. 8 years of being the only one in the room, and I had never once doubted it. The coffee shop was on a side street I had never been to before. I arrived 10 minutes early. I ordered an Americano I didn't drink, and I sat facing the door, and I waited. I had a photograph of Claire from her Instagram. Priya had shown me. Mid-30s, dark hair, warm smile. The kind of face that looks like it laughs easily. The kind of face I could imagine Marcus choosing. She came in with Priya at 10:12. She was wearing a yellow coat. She looked exactly like her photographs. She was holding her phone, checking something, distracted, and then she looked up and saw me, and she didn't know yet. She didn't know who I was yet. She smiled at Priya. She sat down. Priya said, "Claire, there's someone I need you to meet. Her name is Jenna." And something moved across Claire's face, just for a second. A flicker. Recognition. Not of me, of the situation. She said, very quietly, "Is this about Marcus?" Claire had not known Marcus was married. That was the first thing she said. I believe her. I believed her then, and I believe her now. Not because I needed to, but because the way her face changed when Priya showed her our wedding photograph was not the face of someone discovering a secret they had been keeping. It was the face of someone watching the floor disappear beneath them. She had been with Marcus for 2 years. She believed they were building a future. He had talked about marriage. He had talked about children. He had said, and she told me this directly, looking at the table because she couldn't look at me, he had said he had never felt this way about anyone. I did not tell her that he had said the same thing to me on our wedding day, in front of 140 people, with his voice breaking. I didn't tell her that, because some information is not useful, it is just cruel, and I was not interested in being cruel to Claire. We sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours, the 3 of us, 2 women and 1 woman who had brought them together, sharing a story that none of us had wanted to be part of. And then Claire said something, so quietly I almost missed it. She said, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Does the name—" And she said a name I had not heard in 3 years. My mother's name. My mother died 3 years ago. She was the person I loved most in the world. I don't talk about her often, because I find that grief is a private thing, not something to be performed or shared with people who didn't know her. Marcus knew how much she meant to me. He was there at the end. He held my hand at the funeral and said the right things afterward and made the right gestures for the right amount of time. He knew her name. He knew what that name meant to me. I said to Claire, "Where did you hear that name?" And Claire looked at Priya and then at me, and she said, "It's what Marcus named the dog." I did not say anything for a long time. Marcus had taken the name of the woman I loved most in the world, the woman whose loss I had rebuilt my entire self around, and he had given it to a dog in his other life, where I did not exist. Not because he forgot the name mattered, because he remembered, and he took it anyway. I left the coffee shop. I walked to my car. I sat in it for 40 minutes without starting the engine. Not crying, not shaking, just sitting, processing. The way you process something when your brain is protecting you from feeling the full weight of it all at once. What I understood in that car on that Saturday morning, Marcus had not had an affair. Marcus had built a parallel life, complete, furnished, lived in, emotionally full, alongside our marriage. He had told each of us different things. He had loved each of us in different ways. He had deceived each of us completely. And then he had taken my mother's name and given it to a dog in the life where I didn't exist. That last part was not an accident. Marcus does not do things by accident. He is very deliberate. He was always very deliberate. He named that dog what he named it because, on some level, it was the one thread he left connecting his 2 worlds, the one thing only I would understand if I ever found it. Maybe he wanted me to. Maybe he needed me to. I confronted Marcus that evening. Not with shouting, not with throwing things, with a folder. The lease, the bank records, the address, the location data from Thursday, A photograph of the apartment building that I had driven past on Saturday afternoon before I went home, and one piece of paper on which I had written my mother's name. His handwriting. A birthday card he had written me 3 years ago, her name mentioned in it. And beside it, a printout of the dog's name from an Instagram post Claire had made 8 months ago when they first adopted it. The same name. Marcus looked at the folder. He looked at me. He said, "Jenna." I said, "Don't." He said, "I can explain." I said, "I know you can. You are very good at explaining things. You have been explaining things to 2 women for 2 years, and neither of us noticed. So I know you can explain." I said, "But I don't want an explanation. I want you to pack a bag. Tonight. And I want you to go to your apartment. The real one. And I want you to think very carefully about what you're going to tell Claire, because she deserves a real explanation, even if I don't want one anymore." Marcus left that night. He took a suitcase. He did not argue. I think, and I have thought about this a great deal, that some part of him was relieved. 2 years of managing 2 lives is an extraordinary amount of effort. The logistics alone, the scheduling, the alibi maintenance, the emotional compartmentalization must have been exhausting. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. The divorce was straightforward. He did not contest the settlement. The holding company became relevant in ways his solicitor had not anticipated, and mine had. That was satisfying. Clara and I kept in touch for a while. She moved cities 6 months later. She sent me a message on the day she left. It said, "Thank you for how you handled the coffee shop. You didn't have to be kind to me. You were." I replied, "We were in the same position, Claire. The only thing that would have made it worse was treating each other like enemies." She replied with a single emoji, a small yellow heart. I still have that message. People ask me what the worst part was. They expect me to say the apartment, or the 2 years, or the discovery. But the worst part was the dog's name. Not because it was cruel, though it was, but because it told me something about Marcus that I hadn't fully understood in 8 years of living beside him. He needed the connection. Even in a life where I didn't exist, he needed to carry something of mine with him. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's the saddest thing or the strangest thing or something else entirely. I do know that I have a dog now. A rescue. I got her 6 months after the divorce. Her name is completely ordinary, entirely her own, belonging to no one else, which is exactly how it should be. If a text lands on your phone that doesn't make sense, read it carefully, then save the number, then think. You are probably better at thinking than you have been given credit for. Take care of yourselves. And give your dog an original name.